Draw My Hair Story by Onixisis. I was born in a place called Brooklyn, New York, and I later moved to a place and grew up in a place called Irvington, New Jersey when I was 2 years old. I was born the second child, also the second daughter of my parents, and later on came my two younger brothers. My parents went on to have other children in other relationships, but we're just talking about the core group here. So early on in my childhood, I noticed a few things. Um, I really liked having my hair braided, and my sister did too. And but when we came down to the washing and the drying and the combing out of the naps, there was a difference between my sister's and my hair. Hers, she would always be screaming and ouching, and that hurts, and I would sit there with silence. Even though my brothers aren't pictured here, they would also be running from the brush or the comb when they would get their hair done. So I would hear when I was younger that your hair is softer or more manageable than your sister's tough, nappier hair. And I don't know if I felt any particular way about that other than to say that, okay, my hair just didn't hurt as badly as my sister's did when they combed it. Now, up until a certain point, I had gone to Islamic school, and when you go to Islamic school, you just basically cover yourself pretty much from head to toe. And so, from the time that I was 2 to the time that I was 10, I had gone to Islamic school and worn a scarf and didn't really have to you really look at other people and compare myself to them. And so, hair was never an issue when we went to Islamic school because our hair was always covered. So it wasn't until we went to public school and I saw all these girls walking around with their cute little relaxers and perms and things like that, then I felt like, oh, my braids are too, you know, too little, and I want to grow up and I want to have a relaxer. I want to, have something that flows in the wind like these other girls in my class because, braids are kind of young. So I asked my mother, I said, Mom, can I get a relaxer? She looked at me like, no, your hair, no, you're not going to get no relaxer. I'm not putting no perm in your hair. What's wrong with you? I was like, cool. And so one day, my mother walked through the door with my sister, and my sister had her hair straightened. I was like, what? That is so not fair. How can she get her hair relaxed and I'm sitting here with nappy hair and braids looking all crazy? And I was like, well, her hair is tougher than yours, so it's harder to manage, so that's why she got a relaxer. I was like, well, can I get one? No. It wasn't until my parents split up and my mother moved back to New York and my dad was left with all of us, and I would go and visit my mother. And so I guess because she wasn't in the house anymore and my dad really didn't know how to do hair, the resolve was to put a relaxer in my hair, and I was oh so happy about that because I didn't really have to worry about, I could do my own hair for the most part, and I didn't have to really worry about you know looking different. So my mother relaxed my hair, and for the first 6 weeks, between getting your hair relaxed and getting the touch up, which I didn't know anything about really, um my hair was flowing. It was nice. It was hanging. I had some hang time happening. And then all of a sudden, my hair started to break ferociously and drop away from me. And it was just like, oh no. My hair was like, bye. See you later. And I was so unhappy about that because I'm just like, no, no. I'm supposed to have hair that's luxurious. So, I had saw, there at the time that this was happening, Jerry curls and Hawaiian silkies and curly kits and all that type of stuff was popular, and you saw it all the time, and you always heard that it made your hair grow. So my father, who couldn't stand to see me so miserable, he's a cheapo too. He couldn't even see himself paying $60 to get the process done, but eventually I got the process done. And I was happy getting it done. I was in the salon under the dryer, like, yup, my hair gonna be long and luxurious and everything. I get from underneath that dryer, my hair was tight and dry. And so you had to buy other things. Like, so you had to buy other relaxers and not you had to buy other activators and things like that to keep the hair silky and wet so that it won't drop out. And so what happened was, when I got the hang of it, my hair started to grow really fast, and my pimples started to pop out on my face, and I got like jokes thrown at me and all these other types of things, because yeah, while it was a style, it was not a, it was like a wet style and people would make fun of it, but I didn't care because my hair was getting long, son. So I was just like, yep. And then one day I was just like, you know what, I'm done with this, and I am going to not do the process anymore. So basically, a jerry curl is just a perm that's curled. And so I let the process grow out and then left it straight, and let it hang straight, and then so my hair was long again, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh word, I'm rocking it, rocking it, rocking it. And then after a few weeks, of course, my hair started to fall out, and I never really noticed the falling out until like later, until like a severely falling out. And I was cool, and then all of a sudden my hair was just like, bye, see you later, once again. So I'm walking around here with chopped up, broken off hair, and I'm so upset. And I'm starting, I'm feeling insecure and, very, like I'm ugly. People calling me bald headed. And it was just very destructive to my whole psyche. I didn't know how to handle it. And it was just a very sad time in my life to, going through these growing pains, physically, and then your hair is just not acting right. So, it was a very, very sad time for me. So anyway, around this is seventh grade year, and my sister and I were the women in my family, since we live with my father, decided that we was better off if we lived in Florida with my grandmother, who was better able to take care of us instead of my mother. So my sister and I were sent to Florida, and I thought it was great. It was a new fresh start for me and my sister, and my brothers, who were boys, stayed with my father. So we moved to South Florida, Miami, Dade County. Now it was funny because my my level of self esteem was kind of crazy when I was in New Jersey, and when I went to Florida, though, I was confronted by, or I was just seeing these people who had different style, different way of speaking, different way of being. And I'm from New York, you know what I'm saying? I'm from New Jersey, like it's totally different. So I couldn't really compare myself to these people, and I think that helped me like really gain my self confidence back. You had dudes walking around with stuff, dreadlocks, or we call it dreadlocks, and they call it daylights, and they were purposely trying to make that stuff look dirty, and I was just like, that's weird to me. And then we had these females who had these pineapple weaves with all these colors in it, and they had all this jewelry. Like, it was just different, a different type of culture in South Florida. And I'm just looking at all these people, and I'm just like, wow, they weird as hell. And then, that helped me. So around 1995, 1996, toward in my senior year of high school, I was on a trip. I was visiting New York, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get my hair cut, because I was in New York and I saw these women with, older women, but they were women nonetheless with natural hairstyles. And I was like, you know what? It's time. So I went to the salon around where my grandmother used to live and my aunts lived at the time in Canarsie, and I went to the salon around the corner and I said, listen, cut it all off. She's like, you sure? I was like, yeah. I really didn't have that much to work with, but she asked me, and I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Just cut it off. So whatever relaxer that was left in my hair, she cut it off, and And I had asked her though for a texturizer because I really didn't know the texture of my hair. Even though I had relaxed for 7 years, I had never dealt with my hair on my own, so I was like scared of the texture. So I went ahead and did a texturizer, which is nothing but like a light perm, but allows you to retain a lot of your natural curl. Or what I was concerned because Florida was like artificial to me, like it's artificial hair, artificial thing, fake ass people, all these other types of things. And I was just like, oh, I wonder how this is going to be perceived in, Florida. And when I went back down there, I was concerned and I was scared because all those flashbacks of when people used to call me bald headed and ugly and things like that. That I was like, oh, I was scared about that. So I was thinking people would say that about me again. But what really happened was that people was like, oh, girl, that looks good on you. And that looks fly. Nice job. You really look good with a short cut and all these other types of things. And, so that really allowed me like really smooth roll back into my natural hair, in a better way, my so-called natural hair in a better way. I had moved back after graduating from high school. I had moved back to New Jersey to attend Rutgers University, and I had met this street pharmacist, right, who was on my father's block where I was staying at the time, staying with my dad, and so he and I got together and we made a baby. I was pregnant, I got happy and all these other type of stuff. During my pregnancy though, my hair grew like a weed. It was like this phenomenal, magnificent, magical fro, and I was just like da da da. I thought my hair was here to stay. Finally I had some hair on my head, right? So right after I had my daughter, maybe a couple of weeks after, all those hormones that made my hair grow luxuriously, they just started to dissipate, and so did my hair. Fell to the ground, and my hair was just like, son, you know the drill. You know what's up. See you when I see you, cool, cool breeze. So I went to salon around the corner and had them cut off my what was left of my fabulous fro, and I had my shortcut. And I wore that shortcut fiercely for a while. Like I go to the barbershop, I get my stuff lined up. What? Fly with my big earrings. I was like queen, bald headed queen. So I was rocking it, like, and I'm in New York. Because I had to move back to New York when after my daughter was born. So I was in New York, and this was around a time when we had Badu happening, neo soul, this whole natural African cultural aesthetic was back on the streets. And eventually, I had stopped cutting my hair, and I was going into locking it, and I started to cover my hair a lot. Like I wore a headscarf like every day, covering it, wrapping it, wore it to work, wore wherever I was. You ain't never seen me on the street without a head wrap. And underneath the head wrap was, the growing of my first set of locks, and but they didn't really work out because they started to thin out once again, and it started to thin out, and I was like, oh no, my hair is thinning out. I can't deal with this anymore. It's just so unnerving to have your hair fall out over and over and over again. So I eventually cut off my little baby lock. I just like, I got to the point where I was like, I need to do something different because obviously this is not working. So at right around that time, the internet started to become popular. People started to do stuff on the internet. You had the web and the World Wide Web and all these other types of things. And there were websites and stuff that were up, and I started looking on the internet for references for how to take care of natural hair. I had found great sites like Naturality. I had found great sites like Motown Girl, and I got a lot of information about petroleum and like chemicals and protective stylings, all these things that I had never heard of before. And I'm just like, word, I am doing so many things wrong. And I'm like, no wonder my hair felt like crispy critters, because I was using all these crazy ass products that would dry my hair out and it would just never be soft. It would just be greasy and oily and crisp. Called YouTube. And on YouTube you can find a lot of interesting videos, and people were up there making their own content. And what happened was I was like, okay, let me see if I can see a video of somebody doing their hair, talking about their hair, and giving me pointers, because at the time I thought it would be better for me to actually see something instead of just reading stuff on the internet and all these types of things. So there was nobody on YouTube talking about natural hair, black hair, nothing. And I decided that I was going to be the first one to do that. And not without really wanting to be the first one to do it, but just going on YouTube and talking to people about my hair and what my problems had been and the issues that I had occurred, and maybe through that process I can help myself but also help other folks. So I was on YouTube and I was a part of this so-called Black YouTube. I got people, once I got on YouTube, I got people from every neck of the woods, Africans from every neck of the woods coming at me talking about, yeah, you know, you doing some good work. And I would, from that, we would get together and talk about all the stuff, and I would look at their video content. They would talk about Black history and Africanness and all these types of things, and I'm just like, so I learned a lot from those early days, and I started to use whatever I learned and my understandings in my own videos in relation to talking about Black hair. And so a lot of my video content was less about products, and even though I did product reviews, but it was more about self-image and African identity and owning who you are and culture, and just being proud of who you are as a Black woman or a Black person, and just what African hair means to you and what it means to me, and how it goes so far as to be revolutionary in how we represent ourselves if we're not trying to look like somebody else, because no matter what, we were trying to look like other folks, you know what I mean? And so it was a very good, people started to look at me from all around the world. I get questions every day from people, and I mean, I was just, you know, I was up there. I was like, I was getting a lot of views. Within an hour I can get 6,000 views, and that I was rocking it. But little did everybody know that there were a lot of things that were happening in my personal life behind the camera. And because of the nature of my channel, I really didn't put my personal life out there. And I still kind of don't do that either. And what happened was I had been in a relationship with someone for 5 years, and that was ending. And, you know, I was miserable. I was moving out of state because, you know, I had to do a change of pace. And there's a lot of other things happening, and I just ended up canceling my channel. Not just because of my personal life, but because I felt like my channel, even though I tried to infuse cultural aspects of it, wasn't really accomplishing what I thought it would. And I just said I wanted to start fresh. So after I had gotten myself together, I had gotten back on YouTube as Onixisis, this channel that you currently see. And I had goals and aspirations for this channel. I wanted people to see who I was 360 degrees. I just didn't want it to be about hair. I wanted them to know all the other things that went into who I was as a person. I felt like that was important. And so, you know, a little disappointed that, you know, initially my views was like 20 views, and I was like, it had to get me, had to really get adjusted to that, to know that people really wasn't acclimated to just talking about hair, that they really wanted to see something more entertainment. But that's not what I was ready to give. That's not what I really wanted to put out to the world. And I wanted to do it, but not in the level that I had done it before. So when I got back on YouTube, most of you guys found out that I started doing locks in my hair, and my locks had gotten to a certain length. I had started it when I was in my other channel, and I really didn't talk about the process of my locks and all these other types of things. And but I got back and I had my locks, and not to say that I didn't have any issues. I still have issues as far as thinning and all these other types of things that I had when I was free form or free without, you know, loose hair. But I've learned to deal with all of those issues that I've dealt with before in the past, and, you know, become happy with the fact that, you know, my hair is just not, I do have problem hair, and these are the things that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life, and I'll deal with it accordingly. And I just became to own who I am, you know, become a boss, so to speak. And I just wanted to just thank everybody, for following me all these years. Cause I have like really long time followers that kind of, take a look at my videos and say something and don't say something sometimes. And I do still have video viewers from all over the world, and I appreciate that.
Aquella y sus productos, que bueno, gracias hoy a Mabaki Artesanías, gracias también a nuestra gran amiga de Productos Marión, la línea Renacer, donde tiene la crema cambiadora para hombres y mujeres, para el pelo y la cara. También tiene